Could ZBCN be a big narrative during this bull run? Arguably, I would say yes, even though that's not financial advice. And the reason being is because I don't only just think that way because I could very well see ZBCN going to the price of 10 cents. But another reason is because there's a market for projects that could very well be viewed as the next big thing and something that is kind of emulating the market leader. What do I mean by this? We all know that when it comes to the space of global trade and finance, the payments market, just these projects that are related to the world of finance in general, we do know that the leader, of course, as of right now, the one that's leading the pack is something called Ripple, aka XRP, and the number 2 is something like XLM, aka Stellar. And ZBCN is basically a miniature version of that. Now, to give some historical examples, take a look at Solana. Why is that so amazing? Because many people viewed it as, hey, this could very well be the next amazing layer 1 blockchain that could rival Ethereum. And that became popular naturally, of course, as a result of that. Take a look at something else. Take a look at Litecoin. Many people viewed Litecoin as being this faster, more efficient, and just much more dynamic version of Bitcoin. And take a look at Litecoin. Even though it launched years ago, it's still around as of right now, and it's still one of the biggest projects out there. So there is a market for this, right? Because usually people, sometimes they take a look at a market and they see the market leaders and they're like, whoa, market cap is too massive. The room for growth really isn't that dynamic anymore, at least at that point, which is why naturally some of them do trickle down and they find other projects basically in the same markets, but then a miniature version of the market leaders. And ZBCN, I think, arguably is something like that. Now, keep in mind, when we take a look at the payments market, it's currently valued at over $2 trillion. The global trade and finance market is predicted to reach up to $5 trillion in value by 2028, according to Mordor Intelligence. So there's still a bright future here. And I think as the old saying goes, a high tide raises all ships. Once the market really picks up again, and once XRP and XLM really, again, has its next leg up, I think something like ZBCN is naturally going to go along with the ride because, of course, people, when they do believe in something like XRP and XLM, some of them do want to look for other options, and this could very well be something like that. And when it comes to ZBCN, it's not limited, I think, in terms of its exposure or in terms of the perception that it's a good project, because it's viewed as by many people as a good project, not to mention it has good exchange listings and the community is there. They're very passionate. Some people out there, they seem to think that these other projects that no one's ever heard of could do well. And in theory, they could. But when it comes to ZBCN, it's kind of like a proven product, so to speak. Market cap as of right now, even though relatively speaking it's pretty small, it's still pretty proven. And again, the community is there. So I think that if anything kind of indicates that, hey, during a fully fledged bull run, this could maybe be something special here. Now, this is all in theory, but I don't see why not. Because again, naturally, something like Zebec, it does provide a very great alternative to something like Ripple and as well as Stellar. Keep in mind, Zebec is never going to defeat them, but it's kind of like the appetizer, at a restaurant. It's not really going to make anyone full, let's say. Like, let's say I go to a steakhouse. Is the cream spinach or the mushroom soup really going to make me full? Absolutely not. But it's a good complement to the ribeye, to the T-bone, to the filet mignon, if you know what I mean. That's the main course. That's the main dish. That's like Ripple. That's like Stellar. This is like the appetizer. It's kind of like the dessert a little bit. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it's a good complement to those projects. And I view this as a no-brainer. And if you take a look at something like Zebec, it's focused on RWA payments. So it gives it another layer on top of just being this quote-unquote boring project that's trying to somewhat copy XRP or XLM in a sense, many people would say, but then it has more layers, actually. Because RWA stands for real world asset, and RWA tokens are digital representations of physical assets on the blockchain. Like, for instance, it could be real estate, art, financial instruments, like maybe bonds, stocks. There's a lot of possibilities, but I'm just saying Zebec is amazing in that sense. It's not the only project out there focused on that, but still it's a good touch nonetheless. Not to mention, we take a look at something like Zebec. What I do like about it is that we'll see, for instance, not too long ago, it was reported that there was around 50,000 monthly users and how there was over 200 payroll enterprise clients. And its payroll volume not too long ago was actually around $1 billion. So That's very impressive. And also, it's even been stated that Zebec is focused on giving individuals, businesses, investors, and teams faster and easier access to funds and tokens. So again, with statistics like that, at least not too long ago, I think that kind of backs up what it's trying to achieve, and it showcases that, hey, it's at least achieving great things. Zebec, again, is not a big project by any means, but for what it is, it's been able to accomplish a lot. It's even been able to attract investors like Circle, which is the creator of USDC, and as well as Solana Ventures. Two very massive entities. So that's a big thumbs up for me. I think that showcases that, hey, there's some validity here. These large entities, they don't do stuff out on a whim. They're just not going on X and going on, Discord and saying, hey, should we, invest in ZBCN? They're not doing that, right? They have a team. They do their due diligence. They're actually researching this stuff. And when they make a decision, it's usually something that's well thought out. So when they invest in something like Zebec, I'm not saying they're going to be 100% correct here because, of course, if they invest in something, I'm not just going to automatically believe in it. But I think, if anything, it does give great validity for something like Zebec. Not to mention, when I take a look at Zebec as well, allegedly, its partners do include JP Morgan, Bank of America, Visa, MasterCard, and also some others, but I'm just highlighting these ones. So when I take a look at something like Zebec, really, it's a very fantastic project. It's very special, and I'm very bullish on this. 10 cents for me wouldn't be something that would be shocking, because if it were to go to that price, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $7.5 billion, which is around a 100x from here. It's not too crazy in my opinion. We've seen Dogecoin reach over 80 billion. We've seen Shiba Inu reach over 40 billion in terms of market cap, and this was back in 2021. And even if we take a look at XRP as of right now, market cap is over $100 billion. I don't think this is a tall order for something like ZBCN, which has a very good community and a very good fan base. What really amazes me when it comes to ZBCN is that the community kind of feels like a meme coin. And I don't mean this in a bad way, by the way, because usually we take a look at these meme coin communities. They're very passionate. They really do believe in the project. The price could be doing bad, but they're still very passionate. And when it comes to ZBCN, it has that vibe. The price isn't doing good whatsoever as of right now, but people are still very passionate. They still believe in the project. And this is something that can't really be predetermined, because let's say I make a project. Sure, I can design it to have good fundamentals. I can maybe design it to be cool or interesting. But then, even despite that, the community of a project is going to be entirely dependent on, again, the individuals who do believe in the project. Sometimes a project on paper is very cool, very interesting, very good fundamentally, but then the community really isn't there in terms of the passion. But then when it comes to this, it's there. But then it's not a meme coin. So then it's kind of amazing, really. The way you take a look at it, it's kind of like a best of both worlds type of scenario. Now, I'm just going to stay patient, because all I can control as of right now is what I can control, and that's accumulation. Anytime an income, I'm going to be acquiring, holding, just waiting, because the market, even despite it not doing the best, it's going to go up when it wants to go up. Sometimes it happens when we least expect it to do so. Now, of course, we can take a look at some historical data. Like, for instance, we do know that usually altcoins, as a worst case scenario, they typically peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. So if we base it off of April of last year, when the last Bitcoin halving event did happen, it would actually mean around October this year. Again, we can take a look at stuff like that, but each cycle is going to be different. There's going to be different sentiment, and this is not a surefire date. But even regardless, when this really does decide to wake up, I'm still going to be hypothetically prepared for it, because I'm holding the entire time anyways, and I'm not giving up. And again, ZBCN, could it be a big narrative? In theory, I would hypothetically say yes. However, only time will tell, and 10 cents, that's my price target for this bull run. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. Greatly appreciate it. It's Malik the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.